History of my oldest ancestors of whom I am very proud descend. July 12, 783, dies, in Choisier-Ubac, Bertha of Laon, Queen of the Franks, my 37th grandmother, 23 times my grandmother, wife of Pepin the Short, King of the Franks, and mother of the Emperor Romano-Germanic, Charlemagne, my 36th grandfather, 23 times my grandfather. Bertha de Laon, Queen of the Franks, was born in Laon, in 720 and died in Choisier-Ubac, on July 12, 783. She was the daughter of Caraberto de Hardrad, Count of Laon, and Gisela of Bavaria, paternal granddaughter of Martin, Count of Laon, and Berta of Prum or Neustria. Bertha de Laon or Bertrada de Laon was Queen of the Franks by her marriage to Pepin the Short, and mother of Emperor Charlemagne. She was the daughter of Caraberto de Hardrad, Count of Laon, and an unknown woman, who from a letter from Allah was called Gisela of Bavaria, but the said letter dates from the 17th century. Bertha of Laon married Pepin around 744, and in 751, with Pepin the Short taking power as King of the Franks, she became queen. They were crowned kings by Pope Stephen II in 754. Except for some appearances as a patron of ecclesiastical foundations, her figure remains obscured during her husband's lifetime. After becoming a widow in 768, she emerged as an energetic and politically well-informed woman. She was a great promoter of the alliance with the Lombards. She instigated the marriage of her son Charlemagne with the daughter of the Lombard king, and she tirelessly tried to make her children end their disagreements, although he had little success in this. After the death of his son Carloman in 771, he retired from court and lived in Choisier-Ubac, where he died on the 12th of July 783. Family and descent. From the marriage between Pepin III the Short, my 37th grandfather, 23 times my grandfather, and Berta de Laon, Queen of the Franks, were born Charlemagne, Roman Germanic Emperor, my 36th grandfather, 23 times my grandfather, who married 5 times and had children with several women. By his first wife, Himiltrude, whom he married in 766 and whose marriage was never officially annulled, he had a Mordru, a girl, Cucumber, the hunchback. From his second marriage, with the daughter of Desiderius, King of the Lombards, referred to as Desiderata or Desideria, the name Ermengarda would be a creation of Alessandro Manzoni, whose marriage took place in 768 and was annulled in 771. There were no descendants. By his third wife, Hildegard of Vinchgau, Queen of the Franks, my 36th grandmother, 23 times my grandmother, whom he married in 771 and who died in 784, and was the daughter of Gerald I of Vintzgau, Count of Anglichgau, and by Imardie Alemannia, had Charles, the younger, Duke of Ingelheim, who was designated King of the Franks, married Juliana, my 35th grandparents, 3 times my grandparents. Adelud Rotrud married Rorgan I, Count of Maine, my 35th grandparents, 14 times my grandparents, and had 2 sons and a daughter. Rotrud would have been a nun at the end of her life. Bride, for 6 years, to Constantine VI, son of Empress Irene. Cucumber of Italy, King of Italy, my 35th grandfather, 23 times my grandfather, since 781, had several mistresses. Among his relationships he is said to have married Bertha of Toulouse, daughter of William I of Toulouse, Count of Toulouse, and one of his wives, Ingiltude d'Orton, my 35th grandmother, 23 times my grandmother. Louis I the Pious, my 35th grandfather, 22 times my grandfather, 778 to 840, twin of Lothair, King of Aquitaine since 781 and Emperor of the West and King of the Franks since 814, married to Ermengarda of Hesbaye, my 35th grandmother, 22 times my grandmother, and married Judith of Altdorf, my 35th grandmother, 15 times my grandmother. Lothair, died young, was the twin brother of Louis I the Pious. Berta de Franca was married to Angilbert of Ponthieu, my 35th grandparents, 20 times my grandparents. Gisela Hildegard, by his fourth wife, Fastrada of Franconia, my 36th grandmother, twice my grandmother, whom he married in 784, and who would die in 794, he had Adeltrude, married to Goslin of Maine, my 35th grandparents, 3 times my grandparents. Theodrada, Abbess of Argenteuil. Hiltruda, Abbess at Fairmoutiers. From his last wife, Lutgarda, whom he married in 794, and who would die in 800, there were no descendants. Concubines and male children. From his first known concubine, Madelgarda, he had Rodaida, Abbess of Fairmoutiers. From his second concubine, whose name is unknown, he had Rotaida. From his third concubine, Amultrad of Vienna, he had Alpeida. From his fourth known concubine, Regina, he had Drogo, Bishop of Metz since 823. Hugo, Grand Chancellor of the Empire. From his well-known fifth concubine, Adelinda, were born Theodoric. Charlemagne, King of Neustria, married to Gerberga of Lombardy. Gisela de Franca, married to Milo, Count of Noyon and d'Angers.